Hi everybody, and welcome if you are new, and welcome back to all of my subscribers who choose to watch this video with me. I'm going to go ahead and give you an update on my current debt and where I stand on trying to pay it back. But first, I'm going to go ahead and give a brief history on my debt journey. I was debt-free at one point, and that was in 2019 to the beginning of 2020 that I was pretty much debt-free. Basic history: got a credit card and student loans when I was in college. I did go back to graduate school, and that's where a lot of my student loans came from. One was right after I got my bachelor's degree, and then the second time was after I had been in the workforce for a couple years, and I decided to go back and get another master's degree. So I have 2 master's degrees. I took out loans because I couldn't afford to go to school at that time and to live, to be honest. So the first time that I got loans, I was 22, 23, somewhere around there. My previous student loans, my mom and dad actually were going to pay back, and that was the whole plan to begin with. I would take out the loans and they would pay the student loans back, but they would not pay for graduate school student loans. They would only pay for undergraduate. I took out the most that I could get on the student loans when I was on the first master's degree. And then also during that time, I also got a credit card, and I did have a job. It was part-time, getting $6 an hour, which was more than the minimum wage at the time, but it was only working 20 hours a week. I was going to school as well. So credit card, I would put things on the credit card that I couldn't afford with my regular paycheck. I wasn't quite familiar with the fact that you can't just put off paying off credit card or paying credit towards credit cards. So meaning you need to pay the minimum payment, at least pay the minimum credit. So because I basically would just say, oh, I don't have the money this month, I'm not going to pay this, I kind of was ruining my credit score because I wasn't paying credit cards, at least the minimum payment. Not very good for me. I then just kept putting money on the credit card because, you know, my friends were there, we'd go out, we go shopping, go do all of this stuff, and I wasn't living within the means that I currently had at that time. I didn't quite understand money per se and the whole thing about debt. So skip along a couple years, I'm going through the whole process. I've finally graduated with my first master's degree. I get a job. It's barely making enough to even survive. I don't know how I even survived off of that. I had a lot of credit card debt at the time. So I go back to graduate school in 2012, and again I take out student loans, but this time I've learned, I don't need to take out the full amount, and I think at this time I could take out more than the previous time that I was in graduate school. So I was very cautious and made sure I didn't take out a lot. I took out enough to be able to pay for a new computer because I was doing a publishing program. So I needed to get Adobe Creative Suite, and I wanted to get a new Macintosh because my old one was old and I needed to get a new one. So I made sure to take out enough for that, and also to pay for books, tuition, and just a little bit extra because not knowing any additional costs that would come with school. So like paper, printer, ink, just a little bit. Once I was complete with graduate school, with that one, it was 2015, and I was struggling because during that time I also bought a new car. And because I wasn't having to pay my student loans back because I was in graduate school and my loans were all deferred, so I've been able to afford to pay for the car loan. Well, now I'm gonna have to start paying the student loans back on top of a car loan payment and on top of all the credit cards that I've just been amassing. Honestly, it was pretty bad, but it's not as bad as some people have had. It was a lot for me. During that time, I was watching YouTube videos on other people that were working on budgets, and I finally was like, oh, I'm setting up my whole budget wrong. Basically, I just would get a piece of paper like this, a little notebook, and just list all of the expenses for that month. So all of the bills the utility bills, all of that, and then I would add the credit cards and just say, okay, I need to pay this, this, and this month. But I never actually wrote down how much my debt balance was for any of that. So I never actually knew how much in debt I was. And it wasn't until I started watching some other YouTubers that were out there that were talking about debt, and I saw that they were like, they actually pulled out things for car loans or credit cards, and they actually separated that, and they also put in there where they had the total that they still owed. And I was like, huh, I wonder how much I owe. And the first time, I think it was October of 2015, I think, is when I first actually like sat down and did a budget that broke out my debts and actually listed the amount of how much debt I had accumulated already. And it was 62,000. I'm averaging $62,000. And it shocked me. I was like, I don't even make that much in a year. I make a third of that in a year. No, half of that in a year. How am I going to pay this back with what I'm getting paid, and I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and I don't know how to pay it back. I was struggling at that point to be able to pay just the minimum payments, and just paying the minimum payments will get you somewhere, but it's a long road if you just pay the minimum payments. Very long road, especially if you have very high interest. Because I wasn't paying the credit cards like I should be, the interest rate was going up, and it was just this whole effect, and I wasn't going to get out of it if I continued to do what I was doing. So after watching a lot of the YouTube videos, doing some research, I did find Dave Ramsey's program type thing, and with the debt snowball type thing. And I liked that in theory, and I did use it to pay off that $62,000. So I did break down all the credit cards that I had, all the student loans, all of it. And basically it's like, okay, I'm going to start with my Kohl's card that had, I think, $150 on it at that time. So I'm like, I'm going to start with that and pay that off as quickly as possible, and then I'll take that, whatever I was paying to the Kohl's card, say $75 every month, take that $75 and put it onto the Target card. So on top of the minimum payment that I was already paying to the Target card, I'm going to add in an additional $75. So I continued to do that. I went through all the credit cards, and I was slowly starting to pay all the credit cards back, and I was down to, I think I still had 2 credit cards. One had a lot of money on it, ridiculous amount. I don't have any of those numbers in front of me, but it was a ridiculous amount. So I'm still struggling, because it's kind of like, okay, I'm still not getting paid very well. Well, thankfully, at one point, I went in to one of our customers and basically sat in there and was their in-house freight forwarder. And they liked me so much that they offered me a job, and basically I'd have benefits, I'd have all this stuff, and it's like, I would be stupid if I didn't accept this offer. So I accepted the offer. I was able to start paying off the debts a whole lot faster. And then in 2018, my grandmother actually passed away, and I'm including this in here not to get sympathy or anything, because she was 95 when she did pass away, and she lived a very long, full life. And but I'm including this in here because one of the things that helped me pay off that $62,000 was the fact that when she passed away, we sold her house, and because her only descendants are me and my 2 sisters, basically, and my mom, we sold the house, and my mom split the cash that she got for the house and split it between all of us, and I used my portion to be able to pay off all of my remaining debt. So I paid off car, student loans, which I think I had $23,000 left on the student loans at that point. So I paid off the car, the credit cards, the student loans, and that was all around 2019, so mid 2019. I was able to basically live debt-free for almost a year. And then my car started to have a lot of problems with it, and it started to amass a lot of money on the repairs. And I just was like, I am driving 25 miles every single day. I want a brand new car, fresh from the lot. The thing that happened when I bought the car, I had actually saved up quite a large down payment for the car. So that helps with this whole thing, where I had a very large amount of money, cash saved up for the down payment. It was probably about a third of the cost of the car, but I still needed to get a loan for the rest of the car. The past 6 to 7 months, I've been putting some stuff on credit cards because they were very large purchases, or I had to figure out where I needed to save money to be able to afford them. Currently, today, I have, let me pull out my cheat sheet because lots of numbers. Currently, my debt, 2 years ago, it was 0. Currently, we are at $17,154.55. That is the total currently as of today when I checked all of the accounts that I have. I have 4 debt accounts. We'll go into what my plan is at the very end of this video. First, we're going to go through all the debts and basically give why I have them, what's on there, how much they are, minimum payments. The first account debt that I have is a credit card that I share with my mom. I consider it a debt because my name is on it. It does affect my credit score because it is a credit card, and since my name is on there and everything. The good thing is with this one, it is paid off. It's at a 0 payment, and the only thing that I use that card for is if anything happens to this house. So I am a renter. I rent from my mom. If she can't make it, if she's off gallivanting around the world doing what she wants to do during her retirement and can't be down here when, oops, a pipe burst or plumbing, toilets running and I have to call a plumber, you know, emergency situations to where I have to have someone come and actually do something on the house. I have a credit card that I can put the charge on and my mom will pay it back. What I do with that card once I become the owner of the house, I'm not quite sure. That's something she and I will have to discuss. It is my longest credit history because it is one that I got right when I basically graduated high school and was going to college. My mom gave it to me for emergency situations only. And that's why it's currently at a 0, because we haven't had any emergencies lately, thank God. The second debt that I have is the credit card that I got when I was in right before first graduate school, bachelor's, right around that time frame. And it's probably my second oldest besides the student loans that have already been paid off from my bachelor's degree. So this card currently, I am using it for the couch and all the vet visits that we've had. So it currently is sitting at $1,618.77. The minimum payment on it is $29. That $29 will not get me anywhere. I think that's even less than the interest that is getting charged to that account, to that credit card every single month. So I know I have to actually pay more than the minimum payment to be able to get that amount to go down. And I don't plan on putting any more on that credit card right now that we're past all the vet visits. I consider that like my emergency card. It's like there's the one for the house that's an emergency card. This is an emergency where it's like I need to figure out where I'm going to pull the money from, and I'm just going to put it on this card, and once I figure out what account I'm pulling this money from, then I'll pay it off from there. Right now, I don't have the money to pay the $1,600, so I am having to pay it back every single month. The third debt that I have is another credit card, but it is what I call my business credit card. That one is the card that I put the charge for my computer on, and it is also the credit card that I have my monthly expenses for this YouTube channel and my website and my other editing, publishing business that I have. I don't currently have much of an income at all, if any, from either YouTube. I don't have any income from YouTube because not enough subscribers, not enough watch time. Since I have no income coming from that, I have to actually pay this credit card out of my own regular paycheck that I get from my regular job. This credit card currently has $4,952.60 on its balance. The computer was $5,000. The monthly expenses that I have coming out of there total $68.30 a month. And those charges include the monthly charge for or subscription for QuickBooks, the subscription I have for people to monitor my website to make sure that it's not getting hacked or anything like that. And also for Epidemic Sound, which is the company that I use to get the music for YouTube channel. Those three expenses total a total of $68.30 a month. The current minimum payment for this credit card is $121.15. When I looked at how much was charged for interest for this current statement that we're on, the current interest was $75. So when you add in the $68 for the total monthly expenses and the $75 for the interest, it's actually increasing because I'm not able to pay anything off, basically. Now, the fourth debt I have is my car loan, and that was originally for $24,810.48. In 2 years, because I've owned my car now for 2 years, I have paid $15,860.60 towards the car. When I started with the loan, the original payoff date was February of 2026, so it was a 6-year note. What I do with the car, I don't want to just pay the minimum payment of $399.46. I don't want to pay just the minimum payment because I want it to actually go down. So I do a round number, which I could have just gone to $400, but I'm like, that extra 50 cents is not going to do anything whatsoever. So I have actually bumped up the minimum payment to where it was $450 every single month. So for me, I don't think about the minimum payment being $399. I think of the minimum payment being $450, and every other month I actually add in an additional $100 to $150 because I see that number, the total balance, going down. So the current payoff date as of today is October of 2024. So between any additional money that I get, I put towards the car payment. If I see that I have extra money, I kind of split it. It's like I pay, if I have credit cards I need to pay on, I put some towards the credit card and then some goes to the car loan. I'm kind of like, I've been floating around going, with this money I'm doing this, and with this I'm doing that, and you know, there's not a set plan. But now that I've actually written this down, because I want to get back into having a plan, getting my debt paid off, because I see that that business credit card is not going down, even though I'm paying towards it. So I need to have a plan, and I need to stick to it until all of my debt is paid off, for however long that will take. I'm glad I'm starting this off early, trying to figure this out. So my plan going forward is kind of like a traditional snowball effect and then a reverse snowball effect. What I'm calling the, reverse. So the traditional one would be where I'm going to start with the debt that I owe the least on, which is my credit card. I call it credit card number 2. And that's the one that has $1,600 on it. I pay the minimum payment and then whatever else additional I can throw at it every single month. Once I get that paid off, I will take whatever I've been paying towards that card and put it towards the business credit card. Now, the reverse snowball effect that I'm talking about is that I'm also continuing to not just pay the minimum on the car payment. I'm paying that $450 every single month. And then every other month, I'm throwing that extra $100 to $150 towards the car loan to try to get it paid off. Because in my thought process is that every single month I am paying $450 for a car. And that $450, if I paid that towards credit card number 2 that has the $1,600, I could have that credit card paid off in 4 months. Whereas if I just do the minimum payment and whatever else I can pay towards it, it's going to take me a long time to get that paid off. So that, and then to move on to the other credit card. So I am hitting it from both ends, basically. And I know they say, don't burn your candle at both ends. I have it figured out. Sometimes it will be, some months I won't be paying anything towards any additional, like I'll keep it at $450, so it will still be the additional $50. But some months I will not do the extra $100, $150 and try to put it all towards the credit card. But it's like I am trying to get the car paid off as quickly as possible because I don't want to continue to be in debt and I want to use that $450. So when you think about the minimum payments, when you total them all out, I am pretty much paying between $600 to $700 that I'm paying towards debt every single month. Once I get all of that paid off, that can go into a savings account and I can use it to do stuff around the house, to get prepared to get new flooring for the floor, to get a new AC if the AC goes out, or to redo all the electrical in the house, to save up to have my kitchen redone. The whole drive for me to get my debt back into control is to be able to afford the things that I want to be able to afford when it is time to afford them and be able to pay for them in cash and not have to worry about getting any other loans, go into debt again. And I know there are some certain things that you do go into debt for. So the plan, credit card 2, I'm going to pay at least $100. I'm going to try to pay a little bit more every single month to that credit card. It all depends on what's going on with my life at that time. And the business credit card, I am previously, the monthly expenses, the $68.30, I was not paying that. I was just paying the minimum payment. So that's why that account really hasn't been going anywhere, because what I'm paying isn't covering the cost of anything. So going forward, I'm going to pay not only the minimum payment on that, but I'm also going to pay the monthly expenses. So the $68.30. So $121 plus $68.30 it'll help get the card paid off a little bit faster. So the car loan, I'm still kind of working out. I'm going to have to rework my budget on this, on all of this, now that I've actually like sat down and got numbers. But really and truly, if I want to be able to pay this off faster, I shouldn't just do like every other month paying $100 or $150. I should just go ahead and say, if I want this to go down $1,000 every single month, I need to pay $500. It would be better if I did $525, so that way when you think about interest every single month, I'm able to cover some of that. That's something that I'm going to have to like figure out where I can cut some other things in my budget. One of the things that's helping right now, because it's February, a lot of people do these no spend months. I kind of went into this month thinking, let's cut spending. It's only 28 days. Let's try to cut spending to only the necessities that are needed. I just looked at my bank account, and so far the only things that have come out of my account have been for utilities, rent, cell phone. Another driving thing that's making me want to pay my debt off faster, and where I need to kind of like, why I want to do a no spend. I started working on my taxes for 2021. I'm still waiting on one document from my mom. I get a tax form from her accountant for her business. I'm waiting for that form basically to complete my taxes. And as it stands right now, I owe a lot in taxes. So I still need that one tax form from my mom. So once I get that form, I'll be able to, you know, finalize my taxes. But at this point, I'm trying to restrain on what I'm buying. Pretty much if I have interest in anything, it's getting added to lists or to shopping carts, and I let them sit there, and I'm going to let them sit there. All of this is making me say I need to be able to pay off the debts, to be able to save up money for 1, taxes, 2, for the house, 3, for me just to have savings, you know. Eventually I want to retire and I want to have stuff going into retirement funds, and that is where I'm at right now. Currently at $17,154.55, and I do plan on giving updates randomly. I don't know if I'm going to do quarterly updates or like every 6 months updates or yearly update, but I'm hoping that the next time I am in front of the camera talking to you guys, that this $17,000 will be down at least, I'm trying to think, at least $3,000 would be nice. So down to $15,000, $14,000, $15,000 would be lovely to have. So I hope everybody has enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like button and subscribe if you are not subscribed. And I hope to see you guys back here the next time I post a debt update video. Thank you, everybody. Bye.